Reading from the headlines of the United States Senate, www.senate.gov, Kirsten's New York Minute sworn into the 119th Congress. Kirsten Gillibrand, U.S. Senator for New York. Welcome to Kirsten's New York Minute. Here's what she's been up to this week. Getting sworn into the 119th Congress. Last week, Kirsten was sworn in for her third full term in the United States Senate. Representing New York is the honor of a lifetime, and Kirsten looks forward to continuing to fight for her constituents during the 119th Congress. Number 2, honoring President Jimmy Carter. President Jimmy Carter was a devoted public servant, a lifelong activist, and a prolific humanitarian. He will be deeply missed. Kirsten paid her respects to President Carter as he lay in state in the U.S. Capitol and at his funeral on Thursday. Number 3, plans for the new Congress. Kirsten is committed to delivering on the issues important to New Yorkers as she continues her work in the 119th Congress. On Wednesday, she held a press conference outlining her legislative priorities going into the new Congress, which include lowering costs for hardworking families, creating good-paying jobs, passing paid family and medical leave, securing care for our 9/11 survivors, fighting age discrimination, and mandating government transparency and accountability. Number 4 is fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment, ERA, is our best shot at protecting reproductive freedom for years to come. On Sunday, Kirsten brought her campaign for the ERA to New York City, where she urged President Biden to order the National Archivist to certify and publish the amendment before he leaves office. If published, the ERA would enshrine equality and reproductive rights in the Constitution. Number 5 is Dollars, New York. Rochester Beacon Development Inner Loop North project gets a $100 million boost. Kirsten is committed to bringing federal dollars home to New York to improve critical infrastructure across the state. This week, she announced several significant federal investments that will make our state safer, greener, and more equitable. These investments include $100 million for Rochester's Inner Loop project, which will be used to reconnect disadvantaged neighborhoods to Rochester's downtown, $15 million for the installation of up to 350 electric vehicle charging stations at SUNY campuses across the state, $9.2 million for the expansion of high-speed internet access in the city of Niagara Falls, $3.9 million for the development of bicycle and walking path infrastructure in central New York. Number 6 is helping New Yorkers get their retirement benefits. When a constituent needed to secure her court-awarded retirement benefits, she contacted Kirsten's office for help. After Kirsten's team contacted the Office of Personnel Management on her behalf, the constituent was granted a retroactive payment of over $50,000. Individual casework is Kirsten's top priority. If you need help with the federal agency, contact her. Now I'm going to look at americasurveys.com. How should the U.S. address the threat of climate change? It gives a list. 1, implementing strict environmental regulations. 2, investing in renewable energy. 3, focusing on technological innovation. 4, balancing environmental goals with economic growth. 5, participating in global climate agreements. What each side of the debate says. The threat of climate change has sparked a complex debate in the United States with various opinions on how to address this pressing issue. On one side, many scientists and environmental advocates argue for urgent action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. They emphasize the need for policies promoting renewable energy sources like solar and wind, as well as energy efficiency measures. Supporters of this approach often advocate for government regulations such as carbon pricing or emissions caps to incentivize businesses and individuals to reduce their carbon footprint. They believe that failing to act decisively could lead to severe consequences, including extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and threats to biodiversity. Conversely, some groups express skepticism about the severity of climate change or the effectiveness of proposed policies. These skeptics often argue that the economic costs of aggressive climate action could outweigh the benefits. They advocate for a more gradual approach, emphasizing the importance of balancing environmental concerns with economic growth. This perspective often includes support for traditional energy sources like natural gas and coal as essential for job creation and energy security. Critics of stringent climate policies often call for technological innovation rather than regulation, suggesting that market driven solutions could ultimately lead to cleaner energy alternatives without stifling economic development. In the political arena, the debate about climate change is deeply polarized, with differing views on the role of government intervention, while some politicians push for comprehensive climate legislation, others resist, fearing potential job losses or increased energy costs. The discussion also raises questions about equity, as low income communities often face the brunt of climate impacts, leading to calls for inclusive solutions that address social justice alongside environmental sustainability. Ultimately, how the US addresses climate change remains a contentious and multifaceted issue. Southern California is experiencing its most devastating winter fires in more than 4 decades. Fires don't usually blaze at this time of year, but specific ingredients have come together to defy the calendar in a fast and deadly manner. Start with supersized Santa Ana winds, whipping flames and embers at 100 miles an hour, much faster than normal, and cross that with the return of extreme drought. Add on weather whiplash that grew tons of plants in downpours, then record high temperatures that dried them out to make easy to burn fuel. Then there's a plunging and unusual jet stream and lots of power lines flapping in those powerful gusts. Experts say that's what is turning wildfires into a deadly urban conflagration. Speed is the killer. Tiny, mighty, and fast fires have blazed through America's West in the last couple of decades as the world warms, said University of Colorado fire scientist Jennifer Balch. She published a study in the journal Science last October that looked at 60,000 fires since 2001 and found that the fastest growing ones have more than doubled in frequency since 2001 and caused far more destruction than slower, larger blazes. Fires have gotten faster, Balch said Wednesday. The big culprit we're suspecting is a warming climate that's making it easier to burn fuels when conditions are just right. Summer fires are bigger usually, but they don't burn nearly as fast. Winter fires are much more destructive because they happen much more quickly, said U.S. Geological Survey fire scientist John Keeley. AccuWeather estimated damage from the latest fires could reach $57 billion, with the private firm's chief meteorologist Jonathan Porter saying it may become the worst wildfire in modern California history based on the number of structures burned and economic loss. Conditions are ideal. It's really just the perfect alignment of everything in the atmosphere to give you this pattern and strong wind, said Tim Brown, director of the Western Regional Climate Center. Wind speed and the speed of spreading flames are clearly linked. The impact increases exponentially as wind speed increases, said fire scientist Mike Flanagan of Thompson Rivers University in Canada. If firefighters can get to the flames within 10 minutes or so, its spread can be contained, but 15 minutes it's too late and it's gone. The horse has left the barn. There's no sure link between Santa Ana winds, gusts from the east that come down the mountains, gain speed and hit the coast, to human-caused climate change, said Daniel Swain, climate scientist for the California Institute for Water Resources. But a condition that led to those winds is a big plunge in the temperature of the jet stream, the river of air that moves weather systems across the globe, which helped bring cold air to the eastern two-thirds of the nation, said University of California Merced climate and fire scientist John Abatsoglu.